say a few words about non-duality. The main principle in non-duality is that there is one reality. And this one reality is independent of time and space, meaning it does not age, it does not change over time. It does not become a better reality in the 20th century and a worse reality in the 19th century. It's independent of space and time. And although a lot of things change in our experience, our thoughts are constantly changing. The world is constantly changing. Our body is constantly changing. We would wish it would stay a teenage body. There is something that does not change. Which we refer to as reality, or sometimes we refer to it as consciousness. And because reality is one, there is nothing and nobody that is separate from it, because then it would not be one. And since I know I am, because I know I am, before I know I am a man, or I know I am a woman, before I know I am a mother or a father, before I know I am a son or a daughter, before I know I am born and I will die, I know I am. I know I am irrespective of thought. In other words, I do not know I am because I am thinking I am. I know I am irrespective of thoughts. The knowingness that I am is direct. You know that there is a tree in the yard because you looked in the direction of the yard and you perceived the tree. And because you perceive the tree, you can say with certainty, I perceive a tree. But the I am, to know I am, you do not look out in the yard. You do not look into your history to know I am. I know I am directly, irrespective of perception, irrespective of thought. Direct knowingness, which we refer to as an apperception. So, the tree in the yard, I perceive it today, but maybe in 100 years there is no more tree in the yard. Or maybe tomorrow there is a tornado that comes and somehow the tree is gone. So the tree in the yard depends on time and space. Perception, worldly perception, phenomenal perception, depends on time and space, depends on the senses. But the I am does not depend on the senses. It knows itself. I know I, and I am is inherent to the I. Since we have formulated that there is one reality, these are things we can examine and contemplate during our meetings, of course. And since I am is absolute, meaning it does not depend on time and space, then the I am and that reality are one. I'm moving quite quickly through this, but just to sum it up, the I am is the reality and is the one reality. Before the I am a man or I am a woman. This is one of the basic principles of Advaita, of non-duality. The core teaching is there is one reality, and I is this reality. Refer to the body-mind, does not refer to the gender, does not refer to the age of the body, does not refer to the body-mind. When you take a look at your life, you will find that most of the time you are thinking about I, the body, I, the person. Most of the time you are thinking about my life, my past, my home, my job, my children, my partner, my future, my promotion, my retirement, my health. Day after day, night after night, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. I am concerned about me, the person, me, the body, mind. And rarely do we turn our attention to the I that is not the person, that is not the body, mind. And even when you have a very healthy body, when you have a very good relationship, when you have a very good situation, when you have great opportunities, you are not experiencing the peace and the happiness. You do not experience the peace and the happiness irrespective of how wonderful your life is. Because deep down you know that the next day the whole thing could dissolve into space. A tsunami can come and take away your hotel and all your income and all your family and all your wealth, and can even take away your health in 25 seconds. Any moment, this body-mind can drop. And because we know that deep down in our being. We know that our happiness is not possible as long as we are measuring our happiness based on our body, our family, our jobs, our children, our future, our retirement funds. We know that, but we refuse to face that knowingness. We are unable to face this knowingness because we do not know any other way out of that. So in these meetings, in satsang, the teaching, the Dharma, what we refer to as the teaching, is pointing to the way out of that illusion, out of that unhappy dream. When you have been living your entire life wearing purple glasses, you perceive everything purple. The snow is purple, the trees are purple, the river is purple, the city is purple, everything is purple. But you don't realize that you are wearing those purple glasses. And when somebody tells you you're wearing purple glasses, you laugh at them, because there is no way for you to understand that, because you've been wearing them your whole life. They became part of your eyes almost. They're so close to you that you don't see them. But there comes a time in your life, when I say life, I don't mean just this life, but in your journey, in your spiritual journey, because this entire realm is a spiritual realm. There comes a time in your journey where you are more available to hear that message. Hey, you're wearing purple glasses. Somehow, something within you, for different reasons, starts to become more available to hearing that. Maybe you bumped your head so many times in the brick wall. Maybe a great loss or a great suffering. Sometimes a great suffering. Sometimes it's just an exhaustion of this nagging sense of unhappiness. It's sort of been living with it for so long. Thought is repetitive. It's always repeating the same things, rearranging the pieces, but it's always playing the same game. It's got 7,000 pieces and just moves them around. It's like this, and then it moves. It says, no, it's like that, and then it goes, it's like this. and then it moves. No, it's like that. And after 750,000 years of thinking, you come to a place where you cannot go on. You cannot go on. It's just playing this game, this spinning and spinning game, trying to figure it out by thinking. Then you come to a flash of an understanding that thought is not going to get you anywhere outside of thought. That thought is basically going to do what it promises to do. More and more thought. More and more thought. And you will come to sense that that thought is like a spider web. It is not just one thought, it's just so many thoughts. And it's like you get on the stage, and the stage is made up for 2 or 3 actors, and there are 700 people on the stage. And what is the play? You cannot figure it out. And every minute they're changing their costume. That person was the king, and now he's the servant. The queen was the queen. Now she's washing the dishes. What is going on? You get to the point where you are calling for help. Where is the guidebook? You want to read, you look, and somebody says, here's the guidebook. You look at the guidebook, it's 750,000 pages. You see, you're flipping, and every page is just saying, referring you to page 65, and page 65 referring you to page 62, and it's a zoo, it's a crazy. And you say, please, help. What the heck is going on? What is this? Who can life going on here? There's got to be some meaning to it. There's got to be something to it. But you will not find it in thought. So here in this meeting, you may hear a lot of thoughts, a lot of words being spoken. And that's just on the surface. Because if all what you hear is words, you haven't heard anything. You have to go below the words, beneath the words. To the silent stillness, the vast, borderless, transparent presence that is. I am aware. Awareness is this very moment. Awareness is. But the word awareness is not the awareness. The word is just a word. You have to go directly to awareness, to presence. Because this meeting is not about what you perceive via the senses, and not about what you hear via your hearing words. All the misery that you experience in your life, whatever it is, refers to somebody who is miserable, right? Because what would misery be without a me? Most of the misery that you will find in your life has to do with you wanting things to be different, wanting the other to be different, wanting your life to be different, wanting the political situation to be different, wanting your economic situation to be different, and resisting how things are. Think about it. Yes, but he this and that. Oh, but she did this and that. Oh, yeah, but my neighbor this and that. Oh, yeah, but you know this president did this and that. Man, this and that and that. Complaining, refusing, rejecting, having our own ideas about how things should be. Things should be the way I think things should be. Good luck. Things should not be the way they are. They should be like this, like that, like that, like that. And then everything would be okay. Right. Yeah. Right. This is what the politicians tell you, right? Politicians. If you look in your life, you will find that you are constantly resisting and seeking. Is it possible to take a break from that? Take a break from seeking and resisting? In fact, we do that every day. We do that in deep sleep, right? In deep sleep, we press the pause button. We delete the body, no body. We delete the mind, there are no thoughts. We delete the world. New York City and Chicago dissolve. In deep sleep, we're not seeking and we're not resisting, right? And without deep sleep, you know how long you would live? I don't know, have there been any scientific studies? Without deep sleep, you would survive, what, a month, 2 months? I don't know. 3 months, I don't know.
Rats die slightly quicker from lack of sleep than from lack of food.
Ah, yes. Rats, yeah, died quicker, lack of sleep than lack of food. So the question, is it possible in our wakeful state, in our waking state, to be like in deep sleep? I don't mean we're not moving and I mean psychologically, to be free from resistance and from seeking. Notice how when you hear that, the mind will start spinning. So, well, you know, maybe, you know, yes, maybe we could, but, you know, maybe I could do it for 2 hours and we can do this. And what's the point? And then what's the meaning of life? And, our life should be about things. How would we do things? How would I, if I want to cook, you know, want to be able to cook? If I'm, you notice how the mind will start to resist, will start to resist. A simple statement is being said. Simple statement. Is it possible to be in the wakeful state, free of seeking and resisting? Now, there is more to it, because the seeking and the resisting is on behalf of somebody. You see, I don't resist just to resist. I resist because I believe and I feel that there is something at stake, right? There is something at stake. I don't want things to be this way. I want them to be that way because it is better. It's going to be better for me or for my family or for whatever the me is. That it may not be just the me, this body, mind. It may be an extended me and my clan, me and my tribe, me and my family, me and my children, me and my partner, whatever. So the resisting and the seeking is on behalf of me. Because if things turn out to be different than what I think they should be, there is going to be a danger for me. There is somebody who feels, who thinks, and who feels, and who believes that there is something at stake. And I would say, if there is something at stake, it makes perfect sense to resist or to seek. For example, If I go out for a walk and the lynx or a tiger or a bear starts running after me, it makes perfect sense to run for the closest tree, well, lynx, I don't know, to run to the closest shelter. Yes? Right? Right? Because there is something at stake. That lynx is hungry. Hasn't had breakfast and lunch for 2 weeks. Now it says, great meal. Here goes, you see? So it makes sense. Because there is something at stake for the body. May bite my arm off. May scratch my shoulder. Yes? But there is more to the me than just the body. There is the body, which we take care of. We feed the body, we protect the body, we shelter the body, we dress the body, we clean the body, we give rest to the body. But what is this me that feels there is something at stake? I am not saying, I'm just posing a question. What is this me? It's just a question. It's a question. What is this me that feels there is something at stake? So when we hear this question, we usually say, well, me is here it is this person. And what we mean by that is this body mind. Me is this body mind. Yes? That's what we usually say to ourselves. Yeah, me, what's a silly question? Me is this body mind. Here it is. Here it is. This body mind. And I say, okay. There is a body mind that is this me. How do you know this body mind? Is a good question too. For example, I say there is an oak tree over there. How do I know the oak tree? Because I look and I see it. How do I know the body mind? I know the body mind because I perceive it. And also, I sense it. Right? I sense it. And also, I can imagine it. I have an image. So I know the body mind via thought or images, memories. And I also know the body via sensations, bodily sensations. My feet are cold, my shoulder is sore, blah, blah, whatever. And I know also the body because I perceive it. I perceive. Now, what is it that perceives? I perceive, right? The arms do not perceive themselves. The belly doesn't perceive the thoughts or the image or the memory. What is it that perceives? I perceive, right? We okay? I perceive the images, the memories. I perceive the thoughts. I perceive the toothache. I perceive the feeling of hunger in my belly. I perceive my toes wiggling. What is this I that perceives? Am I the I that perceives? Or am I that which is perceived? Am I the I that perceives the images and the memories? Am I the I that perceives the hunger? Am I the I that perceives the body? Or am I that which is perceived? Am I the body that is perceived? Or am I that I which perceives? I perceive those glasses. Am I the glasses that are perceived? Am I the object that I perceive? Or am I, whatever that is, that perceives? If I am I that perceives, then I would say, awaken to this I. You have forgotten this I. Awaken to the I. I perceive. Right now, in this very moment, I perceive. And this I that perceives has no name, no age, no gender, no history, no form. But it is undeniable. I, awareness. I, consciousness. I use the word consciousness and awareness synonymously. Some people use them in different meanings. I always refer to awareness and consciousness synonymously. Sometimes I say awareness, sometimes I say consciousness, sometimes I say presence, sometimes I say beingness, sometimes I say isness, sometimes I say suchness. I'm referring to the I, the reality that perceives, but that is not perceived. It is not a phenomenal, it's not in the phenomenal realm. It is non-phenomenal. It's undeniable. We have confused the reality. We think that the reality is what we perceive. We think the tree is real, the body is real, the thought is real, the table is real. We come back in 20 years, they're gone. The body for 40, 50, 60 years, what body? It's gone. The table come back in 100 years, what table? There's no table, there'll be, it's gone. A reality that goes, that disappears, you call that a reality? We have confused the reality. We are confusing the impermanent to be the reality. And we are overlooking that which is permanent and eternal in our experience, which is the I awareness, I consciousness. So this entire contemplation, the entire teaching is about awakening from the illusion, awakening from the belief that I am this body-mind, that I am a man, that I am a woman. As long as you believe that you are a man and a woman, you are overlooking what is referred to as your true nature, the real self. You are overlooking your essential nature. And when you are overlooking your essential nature, you are mistaking yourself to be a pink flying elephant. And as a pink flying elephant, you belong to the herd of pink flying elephants. There is no peace and freedom that is possible for the body-mind. Santa Claus, the happiness of Santa Claus, is not a real happiness because there is no freaking Santa Claus. You cannot live your life trying to make Santa Claus happy. If you spend your life trying to make your body-mind happy, a better body-mind, this life has been of little use for you. You have not benefited from it. You have not understood what it's about. And before you know it, you are at the deathbed and you are wondering, oh my goodness, what was that all about? Oh, hello, Mariana. I just saw you wrote, when is it fine to pose a question? Because I have a question about the perceiver you were talking about. Mariana, you can ask your question right now.
Yes, hello. Mariana is actually my girlfriend.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
And your name, what is your name?
My name is Oscar.
Oscar. Oscar? Yes.
Oscar, exactly.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah, you were talking about this I, and the subject is very familiar to me. But I felt like doing an introspection into this I, because when you were talking about this perceiver and this I, uh, you said that it is what we are, but when I feel into it, I cannot really trust because it feels like I am I am this body in some sense, uh, but maybe I have just identified this I with
Mhm.
the feeling of the body,
Yes.
because it feels so ordinary. It really feels like me. So how could what we are talking about be this or that?
Yes.
If you understand my question.
Yes, I sort of understand. Let me see if I understood. So when you say that when I look at I feel that I am this body, that it's this I is this body. Uh, it's a good question to ask yourself, what is it that's perceiving this feeling? Because when you say it feels like it is this body, that I am this body, so there is a feeling, there is some impression, a feeling, a thought, a sensation, or is something that is being perceived. There is a feeling, a sensation, something that is being perceived. And when you are speaking with me, you are putting in language the sensation that you are perceiving. So my question is to you is, what is it that is perceiving this sensation? I mean, when you ask yourself, like for example, right now, you're perceiving this perception, and you ask yourself, what is it that's perceiving right now? And rather than very quickly answering the question, you just sort of invite the question to be suspended a little bit, to just hang out a little bit. What is it that perceives right now? And just stay with the question. What is it that perceives? Now, there may be an answer that comes to you like a thought that says, I, Oscar, perceives. But so there is a thought that you perceive. For example, that a thought may arise and you perceive the thought, and the thought says, I, Oscar, perceives, or I, this body, perceives. Now, this thought appears to you, right? You perceive the thought.
Yeah.
And then you speak the thought, and you speak the thought. Before you speak the thought, you perceive the thought. I know it's very quick, but stay with me just for a moment. So you perceive the thought, and then you speak the thought. But when you perceive the thought, you can ask yourself the following question. I perceive the thought, so therefore I know the thought. But the thought does not know me. You can ask yourself, I'm inviting you to ask yourself, I perceive the thought that says, I am this body. And so therefore I know the thought because I perceive it. But the thought that I perceive does not know me. Like, for example, I perceive these glasses. I know these glasses, but these glasses do not know me. So if the thought that you perceive, you know the thought, but the thought does not know you, then if the thought does not know you, on what basis are we going to believe the thought that says, I am the body? Because it is the thought that is saying, I am the body, and then we speak it. We say, hey, well, I feel I am the body. So there is something that you are perceiving, Oscar. And that something that you're perceiving is saying what you are. It's saying, I feel I'm the body, so therefore I am the body. You're perceiving the sensation. It's true what I said about the thought applies as well to a sensation, to a feeling. You perceive the sensation. So therefore, it is an object of your perception. And the object of your perception does not know you. You know the object of your perception, but the object of your perception does not know you. Because the object of your perception does not know you, it cannot speak anything true about you because it does not know you. It is known. Objects, thoughts, sensations are known. They are not knowing. You follow?
Yes, absolutely. So you mean like I can't really be known? Like I can't really know myself. I think only
It's a good question, right? Because
because I felt like when you were talking, I got into a certain unknowingness and a questioning of what am I then,
yes,
and it wasn't really self-evident. It was
yes,
more of a contemplation, if you could put it like that. Like, then what am I? Like a wonder,
yes,
like constant wonder.
right, right. Because you see, so once we do the exercise we just did together a minute ago, that I know thought and I know sensation, and thought and sensation are objects of my know. They are objects that I know, therefore they do not know me. Which brings us to the next question. Well, what is it that knows I then? If I cannot know myself via thought or via sensation, how can I know myself? What is the I then? What is I then if I cannot rely on thought and on sensation to know myself? So that leaves us with the question, how can I know myself? And one could say that the only way for the I to know the I, for you to know yourself, meaning for I to know myself, for I to know I, is via the I. In other words, only the I can know the I. Only I can know I. Only the self can know the self. And not thought. Thought cannot know the self because thought is known. Perceptions are known. Sensations are known. They're objects. So all what remains is only for the possibility of the self to know the self. So then the question comes, how can the self know the self? After all, the self is the self. You see, given
Yeah,
the self is already the self, then what is it to know the self? This is why it is said, self-knowingness is beingness. Is a knowing, is a Satchitananda. You heard of the term Satchitananda?
yes, yes.
Yeah. Sat is beingness, presence, and Chit is awareness, knowingness. So it's a being knowingness. Is a being knowingness. It is not a thinking knowingness or a feeling knowingness or a thinking knowingness or an emoting knowingness. It's a being knowingness. So the teaching is basically to rest as being, resting as being, as opposed to moving via thinking and feeling. Resting as being, the recognition of beingness which already is. I already am the self. It's a recognition that rather than our habitual tendency to pursue objects or thoughts or sensations to get the answer, we release and rest and recognize the I am that already is as being awareness, which in this moment you are. I am is undeniable. If you ask yourself, I am. Not I am Oscar, not I am a man. I mean the I am. Am I? Yes, I am. Am I aware? Yes, I am aware. And just to rest as that, resting in that I am awareness. It is awareness that is aware.
It feels like it's hard for me to trust that I already uh, somehow know that, because
No, you do not know that. You do not know that already because for so long, Oscar, you have been Oscar. You have been the son, the father, the man, the person. So there is a tendency already in the thinking and in the feeling state to not know that. So although it seems easy to talk about it, there is this powerful tendency to, as soon as the question, what am I, arises, for thought to engage in order to try to give an answer in thinking, you see? And part of the thinking that arises says, oh, I cannot do that. I cannot do that because thinking is always about doing, you see? But I am not talking about doing, you see? Thinking is about doing. What is I need to do or do? Talking about a recognition, a resting, a sort of resting and being is a recognition of being. Like right now, do you have any doubt about being, Oscar?
no, when you were talking about it, I just felt like this rest you were talking about, this simple peace.
Yes.
It felt very smooth.
Yes. Yes. So that.
And no, I know that there is no doubt about
Yes.
that. Actually, the difference.
Yes. So there is no doubt, but I am, and the I am. Can you get a sense of this? I am is before I am Oscar. Before I am tall, I am handsome, I am rich, I am poor, I am. There's just I am, but that it has no qualification, no gender, no. It hasn't yet attached itself to a history or a story or a form or an image or a feeling or not yet. You get a sense of that before it attached itself? The I am, just pure I am. Simple I am. The bare I am. You see? And also that awareness is, this I am is inherently aware. It doesn't need to do anything to be aware. It is I am is made out of awareness, so and awareness is made out of amness. So the I amness is one side of it is awareness, the other side is amness. But I'm talking of sides, but there are no sides. You follow? So it's the I
Yeah,
am.
yeah. It feels like I follow you, but somehow I don't really want to trust that I feel the right I amness, because something in me wants it to be maybe like a certain way, like a feeling of spaciousness or a feeling of
Yes, yes, yes.
happiness or feeling love or
This is part of the games of thought. You know, is it, okay? Well, where are the goodies? You know, give me some goodies. You know, where is the? I want to feel high. I want to feel spacious. Blah blah blah. It's like putting sticks in the wheel. You know, there is and it's oh, where is the spaciousness? Where is the transparency? Where is this? Where is that? You see, and that's when the I am now is becoming. I, I am. I have a bag now. I want to put some goodies in the bag. You see, it's no longer just I amness. It's I am collecting. I am storing. I am getting, and hopefully good stuff. You see, and not the bad stuff. Yes, then you see, says as you have to sort of. Uh, you know, become wise to that. You see, it's not about a certain experience, because experiences are limited. You see, Oscar, experiences are in time and space. They're about, oh yeah, I had this great experience in 1982. You know, I smoked a joint. I felt one with the universe, spacious. I was in the satsang and I felt spacious. Oh yeah, I felt spacious 5 times in my life. I remember it was so beautiful. It's what's the point of that? You know, it's just an experience. You see, it's a recollection, and we like to as a in our state of ignorance, we believe the more we collect things, you know, good things, then we are we're really getting, you know, close to happiness. You see, but there are burdens. You see, there are burdens.
I really feel that when you were saying it, that the collecting of things, it's really is a burden, and it's actually that which we want to let go of. And because I really feel very strong in me a sense of just wanting to be with the simpleness of life instead of just chasing the pleasure, because with the pleasures there comes pain and
Absolutely.
sorrow. So
Yes.
uh,
So it's our true nature is full and complete in itself. It does not. It's not incomplete, because if there's incomplete, like when you're doing a puzzle, you're missing 4 pieces. You're looking for them because the puzzle is incomplete without those 4 pieces or this one piece. You see. So you are looking everywhere. Where are they? Maybe it fell under the table or something. You see. But our true nature is not like that. The self consciousness presence is not a phenomenon. It's not made out of atoms and molecules. You see, it is just pure awareness, and awareness is a formless self, formless, borderless. It is a fulfillment in that recognition. But to get an appreciation of what I'm saying, uh, there is a certain process of seeing through the tendencies, seeing through these these powerful forces within us that are still reaching out with tentacles like octopus, you know, to grab this and grab that, and we repeat them, say, oh yeah, you know, we like to keep showing our flashcards. Oh, I have this flashcard, I have that flashcard, this flashcard, you see? And it's all very limited. It is all about making a better person, a better image, a better spiritual person, a better enlightened person, blah, blah. You see? While there is a complete simplicity, complete purity and freedom and joy and beauty in just simple being, in what the that is, that does not require to be figured out. It, nothing can figure it out. It is. And the recognition of that and resting as that. And in your life, rather than collecting, trust the letting go. Trust the more of the surrender and resting as being awareness. Yes, resting as being awareness. Invite yourself to this recognition, because it is the self itself that is recognizing itself as being this aware presence.
Beautiful.
Okay, Oscar.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Vicky, yes.
Yeah, it seems to me that this journey we are talking about
Yes.
is going from that which is personal to the impersonal.
From the personal to the impersonal.
So
yes.
if it is on the personal, it is about form.
In the
About-
personal, in the personal.
Because it is about me, being a woman, being that age, likes, dislikes, and that trap
Yes.
that we get into with all of it. So if you then go from two into the impersonal, there's really nothing to hold on to there because it's formless.
Yes.
Because I think that when I am in that state of being, there's no subject here.
Yes.
There's nothing, thoughts actually stops in the
Yes.
sense of being.
Yes.
So it's formless.
Yes.
And so then it seems to me formless and impersonal.
And impersonal. Yes. 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 Before the thought arises, or before the words are written, you need a blank page. Before the thought arises, you need the space of awareness. So, like whatever is in this room requires the space. Before the furniture come into this room, there has to be the space. And then what appears in that space. And we perceive the object. We perceive the object, we perceive the body, we perceive the thoughts, we perceive the sensations, we perceive the perceptions. And we do not perceive the space, because the space is not objective, it's not something that you perceive. The space of awareness, you cannot perceive it phenomenally. You cannot perceive it via thought. You cannot perceive via a metaphor, via a symbol. You can only recognize it as the I. The I is this formless aware presence. Not the I, the woman, or the I, the man, not the I, the mother, not the I, the son or the daughter. The I is the formless self. So you know yourself. I know I. What else would know I besides I? You think that the tree knows I? Do you think that the cloud knows I? Only I knows I. So I knows I. So within the I, there is self-knowingness. There is the knowingness of the I. Within the I is the knowingness of the I. I know I am. And that I am is a formless self, is this aware impersonal presence that you were talking about. So the teaching, I think, in Greek they have Greece they have the temple. No, I don't know which temple. On top of it, it says in Greek, "Know thyself." I don't know how they say it in Greek, but it's in know thyself is the highest teaching, to know thyself. This does not mean know your story, know the story of your ancestors, or know your genealogical root tree, and know about your tribe, and know thyself, meaning know I, know the I, because thyself is I. What is it that would know the I? I. You cannot ask the priest, do you know I? I know I.
I think that's confusing.
How?
I think it's confusing when we use the I then as the personal or the I as the impersonal. Because
No,
if
I'm not using I as a person, the personal. When I say
No.
I know, I am always referring to the self, to consciousness.
Right. But however, the way we speak, if we now leave this place and go to the kitchen and socialize, we begin a sentence with I. What have you been doing? I have, I did, I went on vacation,
Yeah,
I went so we use the I.
But that's
all the time.
just convention.
In that personal sense,
That's just
But since
convention.
we do
Because
that-
we're talking about the body. We're
we're
talking
talking
yes.
about the body,
Yes.
mind, and this, but we use I so often that it just you have then that impersonal.
Be a little bit more watchful of how often you use the I.
Confused. No,
Well, be watchful how you use your I. Be watchful how
we
you
speak automatically.
be watch. Why?
We speak automatically.
No,
It
no,
comes
no.
from
No, you can apply a certain degree of care to your language.
if I am in a place and I meet somebody, hey, how you doing? I. That's what we all.
Well,
a few steps into the kitchen and we begin to speak
yes.
like that.
Okay, you will find that over your let's say your journey, that you will become less and less interested in what is that, the People magazine link? What is in this sort of commérage? How do you say? Yeah, in how do you say in English? In this sort of story, you will find that you will become less interested. Of course, this does not mean you will not say, yeah, I was in California, I was doing this and that, but this, the way we usually speak, like you say, in the kitchen or when we go to work or whatever, we forget what we are, and so we go back to being this person and the identity, and we start to feel and we get excited when people say, oh, really, you did that? Say, yeah, I did that. And you feel like, and then when somebody says, oh, yeah, I don't like what you did, and you feel like, oh, gee, they don't like what I did. We forget what we are, so we go back into the roller coaster ride. But over time, as you are contemplating and you're looking, there is, it's like when you have a plant, and you take care of it, you water it, you put it in the sun, or you put it in, you mist it with, you give it some good nutrients, etc. Over time, this plant is not going to stay a seedling. It's going to grow, and eventually it's going to make a beautiful flower or beautiful fruits. So there is that aspect.
It is that aspect requires contemplation.
Yes.
Requires reflection. Requires of its, stillness.
Yes.
It isn't. I'm going to ask you, how was California?
We had a wonderful time in California.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But you do not need to. You do not need to just in having this conversation. You do not need to get into any emotions. You see, we get into the emotions when we are identified. We identify with something. Oh, it's my son. Oh, it's my home. Oh, it's my money. Oh, it's my car, etc. That's when we get into emotion. But otherwise, yeah, I had a wonderful time in California. So Michael, a beautiful time, very lovely. So sweet. Fernando, yes.
I can experience consciousness when I am aware, can peace, calm. Very nice experiences when I meditate or when I teach. But I have a doubt and I have a question that is that consciousness that is, we suppose that is permanent. It doesn't change. Everything changes around
Yes.
us in our life, our body, our thoughts, everything, emotions, everything. Okay, I understand that. But consciousness doesn't. It's permanent. But my question is that not a belief also? Because what happens if I have a heart attack now and die? I won't be able to perceive anything. It's me, yourself, the media, thoughts, everything's gone.
Yeah.
How's that? So that consciousness that we experience is provided that we are in a body, that we
Let's
have a body.
let's stay with
That's
first.
my doubt.
Yeah,
That's my question.
So two things you said is you understand everything is impermanent, but the consciousness is permanent, and you said, isn't that also possibly a belief? I'm just rewording your question. Could it be that consciousness is eternal, is a belief, and what happens when the body dies, and I'm not experiencing anything? So that's your question. Yes. So a belief usually has to do with thoughts. For example, I believe that the earth is flat. So it's a thought, and it's a belief because there is no evidence that the earth is flat, so it's a belief. Now, when we come to consciousness, are we referring to a thought? Is the question. Are we referring to a thought, or are we referring to our direct experience? So when I say consciousness, I am referring to whatever it is, which I call consciousness, whatever it is that is real in this very moment, whatever it is that perceives in this moment. For example, right now, this perception could be a dream, meaning it is possible that we may right now be sleeping on planet Xenon, and we are blue monsters, blue characters with 10 arms and 10 legs. Let me not call them monsters. And we are sleeping and dreaming this. It's possible. Although this may be a dream, the dream is not nothing. There is a reality to it. Of course, the reality of the dream is not this, because this is not real. I am actually sleeping in my bed on Xenon. But there is a reality to this dream. The dream is not real, but the reality that perceives this dream is real. It is not nothing. Yes? So when I am speaking about consciousness, I am referring to whatever it is that is real. Because this is not nothing. So I'm speaking about the experience, because it is I that perceives. That's not a belief. The belief is that I'm a man, because I've learned that somehow. I inherited that through the culture, through whatever. And it's possible that I'm not a man. I'm maybe an octopus. Just kidding. So what is not inherited in your experience right now? What is not something that is learned? What is something that is not a belief, that you have not learned from your grandparents or great-grandparents or teachers from 1,000 years ago? That is consciousness. So in your question about could it be that consciousness is a belief? The consciousness that is a belief is not what I am speaking about. I am very specific in the way I'm using the term consciousness. I'm speaking about our direct experience, but the experience of consciousness. So consciousness being the experience of consciousness. The next part of your question was, well, what if this body dies? Then what happens to consciousness? Well, if this body dies, we have an experience, by the way, of that. Because in deep sleep, every night, it is a simulation, let's say, of the body dying. Because in the deep sleep, there is no body. It dissolves. There's no body. There's no world. There are no thoughts. So we could say from our experience of deep sleep that the body dying is very refers to no body, no thoughts, and no perceptions. Your car, your partner, your children, your mother, your neighbor. Claro? So what I know from inference from deep sleep is that the death of the body refers to the no thought, the ending of the mind, thoughts, world, body, mind. The question is, does it also refer to the end of consciousness? There are two possible answers. One is yes, and one is no. We're going to look at both answers. Let's say that the answer is no. Nothing happens to consciousness. That's one option. You okay? One option. Nothing happens to consciousness. Consciousness still is. Option number two, consciousness disappears, dies, for example, dissolves. Right? That's option two. I would ask you the following question. What would know that consciousness has died or has dissolved or is no longer? Something needs to know that. Because if we are going to make the statement that consciousness is no longer, something has to know that. So therefore, something has to witness that. Because if you have not witnessed it, then you cannot speak it. You have to witness it. You witness the Dead Sea, and then you say, the Dead Sea, I know it is out there. I have witnessed the Dead Sea. So if you say there is no longer any consciousness, it dies with the body, something must witness that. So then if something is witnessing the absence of consciousness, what is it that is witnessing the absence of consciousness? Whatever is witnessing the absence of consciousness has to be conscious of the absence of consciousness. So therefore, consciousness is there witnessing the absence of consciousness, that's an oxymoron. Which leaves us.
So that remains, that's another consciousness, with a wider consciousness.
Okay, so we could say, well, there is a supra-conscious, there is supra-consciousness that is witnessing the dissolution of the minor consciousness. There is a super and a minor. Okay, so there is a super consciousness that perceives the dissolution of the minor consciousness. So there are two consciousnesses. There is a supra and there is a minor. If there is a supra and a minor consciousness, and they're both real, because if they're not real, we're talking about Santa Claus, right? There is a supra and a minor consciousness, and they're both real. And given that there is one reality, there has to be some connection between the supra and the minor. The connection meaning they're one. There is a connection between the wind here and the wind there and the wind here. It's one consciousness. So the supra and the minor argument also refers to the one consciousness.
Sorry, would there still be a third answer?
Yes. What would it? Yes.
That consciousness does not exist and there's no consciousness.
Okay, so consciousness does not exist,
There's
and there is no.
existence, there's nothing there to know. There's
Okay, so if there is no consciousness, there's nothing to know that there is no consciousness. Then what is it that's saying that?
well, right now, whatever's conscious, and looking at it.
So something. So there is something. Even to say that there is nothing, or that let's say that
Well,
you.
from this vantage
Yes.
of consciousness.
Yes.
Say,
Yes.
Of consenting that existence is, because it can't be denied from this direct experience.
Yes.
But from knowing that you know, people, body minds die, and that this one is going to die. Would the experience of knowing this go along with it?
We'll go with
The
it.
experience of knowing this go along with it.
Yeah.
I can see that it'd be silly to divide and say, okay, so I know that I don't exist. Well, that doesn't make any sense. You've gone through that,
Yeah.
that's clear.
Right.
But there's nothing there to not know.
The experience of knowingness of the world body mind is going to go with the body. In other words, the experience of knowing your family, your job, your car, your village. So the experience of knowing object, the objective knowingness, the phenomenal knowingness, the particular phenomenal knowingness that is connected to this particular body mind is going to go with this body mind. Similarly, when this body mind is somehow kidnapped and now taken to Thailand, okay, the experience of this, the world body mind experience of this particular mind is going to be completely different, because somehow now it's Thailand and it's different food and different smells and different sounds and etc. different everything. When the world, when this particular body mind dies, what goes along with it is the world body mind experience. But we are talking about consciousness. Now, although the particular mind with its functioning, let's say, ends in this particular in this particular situation, does not refer to the end of consciousness. Why? Because consciousness not only knows the tree via the body-mind, because I know the tree via the body-mind. I, consciousness, know the tree via the body-mind, meaning via the mechanism, via the instrument. But I also know I am irrespective of the instrument. This knowingness of the tree, the knowingness of the tree via the instrument depends on the instrument. So when that instrument is big X, then it's not possible for me to know this particular tree via this particular instrument. But the self-knowingness is not eliminated by the elimination of this body, mind, and the knowingness of the tree. That's the point that I'm making for you. And a good metaphor of that is, for example, if you have a grid, you know, the power grid. I think maybe you heard me use that metaphor before. If you have a power grid that is feeding the light in this village, in this house, and in this village, and a particular light bulb goes off, it does not refer to the grid, to the electric grid going off, as a metaphor.
What I'm hearing is the knowing of I am is not dependent upon instrument.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
dependent upon
The
body.
I am knowingness does not depend on the body.
So the direct experience of clarity of that experience, I am knowing that knowing is not dependent upon the body.
Right. It's not dependent.
It satisfies or makes the question.
It does not depend on the body mind.
Right.
Self-knowing does not depend on the body mind. But knowing the tree, or knowing the body, knowing the hunger, depends on the body mind.
Right. So the fact that gentlemen and myself were asking this question,
Yes.
I speak for myself.
Yes.
If I'm asking this question, then that I'm not sufficiently aware of that.
Yes, because there is still the impression that the self-knowingness somehow is connected to the body. There is still within
Right.
the
So I can understand your intellectually direct experience of knowing that that knowing I am does not need a body mind.
there's still a doubt about that. That's what you're saying.
I believe you, but
No. It's not about believing me. No, but let's look at it. Let's look at it because to be clear within yourself. Okay, within yourself. When you ask yourself, when you say "Am I?" or "I am," do you go to thought?
Do it first. Let's see.
Am I? Or when you say "I am," do you think about it? When you say I am visiting, you know, Magdi and Tara, you know, today on Sunday, that requires some thought. But when you ask yourself, am I, or am I aware, or am I?
Thought is not. Thought is just.
Well, you need to come to clarity within yourself about that, Jeff. Because otherwise this question is going to remain haunting you. Huh? You have to look at it. Oh, keep looking at it. Keep looking at it. When I ask myself, am I? Is there any thought? The answer is immediately, yes, I am. When you say, yes, I am, where have you gone to say, yes, I am? Have you gone anywhere? Huh?
No.
No. No, I mean, you have to look at that. As you said before, I believe you. I don't want you to believe me, please, because if you believe me, it's not good. Who cares about believing me? It's not about believing me. See? Hey, Walid.
I believe might be a fact that not going to circles, going to some actually related power. Before I am. Everything is right from the source of right.
Of thought.
Yes.
Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Yes. I think, therefore I am a person. I think, therefore I am a man. I think, therefore I am a great father. I think, therefore I am a great thinker. I think, therefore I am a great philosopher. Yes. But I think, therefore I am, that is incorrect. I am stands on its own. But I think I am, according to Descartes, referring to I think I am somebody, I am a person, I think I am existing, I think I am alive, I think I am, etc. But the I am stands on its own, because when you ask yourself, am I? Forgetting Descartes for a moment, when you ask yourself, am I? Where do you go? There is an immediate knowingness. Yes, I am. I'm not, I know what I am, that's a different question. Not what am I? I'm just strictly speaking, am I? Not what am I? Because what am I is a totally different question. It's just, am I? Or is there isness? I think somebody asked me once, he said, I don't like the question I am, I like the question, is isness, is isness, is isness, I don't know, something like that. Whatever it is. The question I am is good enough. Am I? Or am I aware? When you say, am I aware? The answer that arises immediately is yes. But you need to really be very, very clear in your looking. Look really, really carefully at that question within yourself. Where do you go? Just take it home and look at it. Keep looking at it. Where do you go when you ask yourself, am I aware? Do you go anywhere? Or is it immediate? Yes, I am aware. How do you know that? It's obvious. Well, you want me to write a 100-page paper on about that? I'm aware is obvious. How do I know? I don't know how do I know. I know because I know. Another way of answering it is, how do you know? Because I am awareness. Awareness knows it is aware. How about that? Awareness knows it is awareness, because awareness means knowingness, right? Awareness and knowingness are synonymous words. Awareness means knowingness. Knowingness not only knows the tree via the instrument, not only knows the thought, I love my mother, via the instrument of the brain, as you could say, but it also knows independent of the brain, independent of the instrument. It knows itself because it is made out of knowingness. Its substance is knowingness. The I'm not talking some philosophical treatise. I'm not trying to be the future Descartes. Please no. I'm just talking simply. The I is awareness. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because understanding, you know, like we bathe our body. There is something about understanding that bathes our internal psyche. It cleans, it removes the ignorance. It takes time, you know, but yes, this sort of contemplation is about understanding, and understanding removes misunderstanding. And in the absence of misunderstandings, all is well.
According to what he asked, couldn't you also say that which I believe we all come from one source.
We what?
We all come from the same source.
We all come from the same source. When you say we, okay, but go on.
Everybody, come. I
Uh-huh.
have to finish that.
Yes,
We
yes.
come from the same source. If we so do, we return to that same source. So if that source then is consciousness,
Yes.
so we are then born and play with life like a bubble
Yeah,
in water, and then we return to the water,
Yeah.
and return to consciousness. It seems.
You could say that that like the ocean via evaporation, it's clouds, the clouds become the rivers, the streams become the rivers. You know, it's the only thing that I would add to your metaphor is that although all body minds arise from the same source and return to the same source, if you do not come to know yourself as the source, then you remain knowing yourself as something that has arisen from the source and it will return to the source. And as long as you have not recognized yourself as the source, you will still experience the sense of limitation, separation, a sense of lack and angst. So we could say that part of this arising is also the arising of wisdom and the potentiality of recognizing yourself as the source. In your experience, you never experience anything outside of yourself. In your experience, you never experience anything outside of yourself. Every you experience within yourself, which is referred to as the intimacy or the communion. In your experience, every thought that you experience it intimately within yourself. Every perception that you experience the perception. The perception is not a part of yourself. It is an intimate relationship between the perception, the perceived, and the perceiver, which is referred to as the perception. Given that in your experience you never experience anything outside of yourself, then what is it that arises out of the source and returns to the source? Since your experience is a wholeness, meaning never anything outside, if there is no outside, then similarly there is no inside. It's one wholeness. It's like you cannot take a knife and cut the ocean in two. Say, this is the East Ocean, this is the West Ocean, or the air or the space. Given there is no external experience to yourself, then there is not even an internal experience. Then there aren't any objects of your experience. Your experience is intimate within itself. So then the question is, what is it that arises from the source and returns to the source? But yet, in our night dream, we dream, for example, that we travel to distant lands. We travel to Tibet, we travel to China, we travel to Australia. We visit, we meet people and so on. But then we wake up. When we wake up, we have not traveled anywhere. But while in our dreams we are re-experiencing Australia, we're experiencing You know, all these different experiences we are having in our night dream. They seem very real and very poignant.
Who is the one who dreams? The mind or consciousness? Because sometimes we hear that we can pay attention to dreams because there are messages from your subconscious or the conscious, from God or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, who is the dreamer? The
Who-
mind
who is the
or
dreamer?
consciousness?
Is the dreamer the mind or consciousness? It depends what you mean by the mind. So before we answer the question,
The definite mind, just the
I'm sorry.
this current mind, not the
Well, we are going to look at that because so we can answer precisely the question: what is it that is dreaming? Is it consciousness or is it the mind? We are going to examine the language we're using so we don't have a conversation with a wrong understanding. By consciousness, we know, we already talked about that before, but we repeat it now briefly. By consciousness, we refer to reality. Whatever it is that is real in this experience, that perceives this perception that it is real, that is undeniable. We don't know what it is, we call it reality. That's what we refer to as consciousness. And also that consciousness refers to I. I is undeniable. Since given there is one reality, consciousness is undeniable, and I is undeniable. So I is consciousness. And I don't mean by I the body, I the mind. I mean I, just the I, whatever that is. The reality is I, or also called consciousness. So say I/consciousness is, we define that term. By the mind, I am going to attempt a definition, and of course we can talk about it. By the mind, I refer primarily to thought, and I also refer, in a broader sense, to whatever is experienced, sensations, perceptions, all that is mind. That is how I refer to the term mind. So mind, in the way I use the term mind, refers to objects of perception, whether they are gross objects or subtle objects. They are forms of perception, objects of perception, thoughts, sensations, memories, trees, cities, and bodily sensations. So the question is, what is it that perceives thought, a dream? Now a dream, if you look at the dream is, they are mind events, meaning they are thoughts, sensations, perceptions. Sometimes we see colors, we see cities, we see people, sometimes we see odd shapes and so on, and sometimes we have feelings and experiences. Dreams are made out of, I would say, phenomenal events, but there are more space between them, more fluid. It's not like in the waking dream that they're more tighter. It's like as if the molecules and the atoms are tighter, but in the dream they're more spacious. So in a way, like the waking experience and the dream experience are similar in composition, but different in display. The display is different, more fluid in the dream, less fluid in the waking state. So the question is, what is it that perceives the dreams? In fact, when you look at a dream, which is an appearance, and you say, I perceived the appearance. When you say the tree, for example, you say, I'm perceiving the tree. At that moment, you have taken a perception and you put it on pause. like press the pause button, and you ask them, what is it that perceived this perception? But in fact, in your experience, you don't have a pause button. So when you press the pause button and you say, what is it that perceived this perception? There is no pause button, no pause button. That perception is already gone. So you're pressing a pause button on the perception that's already gone. You're saying what's perceived that perception, but what perception are you talking about? It's gone. So what I'm trying to say, maybe not as clearly as I would like to say, is that at the moment of perception, there is no time. There is just the perception, which refers to the eternity of awareness, which is not in time. And because perception does not take place in time, there is no one that is possible to be there to perceive it, because the one that perceives it is an object in time. You are trying to take a time element and to try to put a time element on something which is not in time. Another way of saying it is that perception, when we say there is a perception or I'm perceiving a tree, we are engaging in a different perception, which we refer to as thought. In fact, at the moment of perception, there is no thought. But then we turn our attention to thought. We say, what perceived that? And so we formulate a perceiver and a perception. We recollect an image, and we present an observer, a perceiver to that image. So what I'm telling you in some ways that are maybe a little complicated to say them, is that in fact, there is no perceiver to the perception, and ultimately, there is no perception. In fact, but in thought and in mind, we say, oh, well, I perceive the perception. So there is only one reality, not two. And the reality, if the perception is real, then the perceiver must be real, right? If the perception is real, the perceiver that perceived that perception is only consciousness, because there's only one reality, and it's not the mind. The mind is an object of perception, thoughts, sensations, and mentations. So the reality is what perceives. And the object that is perceived, if there is an object that is perceived, then the object that is perceived must also be real, right? Otherwise, what are we talking about? So if the object that is perceived is real, then the object is real, and the subject is real, and they are one reality. If they are one reality, because there's only one reality, then the object is the subject, and the subject is the object, and therefore there is no such thing as perception. Or, another way of saying it, I is perceiving I. I is perceiving I. But what does that mean, I is perceiving I? I cannot step out of I to look at itself. I is I. So true perception is beingness. Beingness, union, oneness, wholeness, non-duality, Advaita.
How your consciousness and unconscious, it's about an event or something that happened in you
Yes.
that you get scared or hear it,
Yes.
then your unconscious is there, and your unconscious is,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're sleeping, you're dreaming, and that's maybe I can answer this question. So your conscious, while you're sleeping,
Uh-huh.
sending a signal to your brain, which is brain, it's like a monitor or TV that receive that message from what you're hearing or what's happening in your brain. It sends the signal to your brain to presented in different way of you understanding it, and or what you're expecting to happen
Mm-hmm.
in the near future. So it's just like giving a different picture,
Different
how
perspective.
you feel it,
Yes.
how it's coming out, through your brain. So like it's like you're turning on the monitor to see the picture.
Yes.
I don't know if you get it, but that's how I get it.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
consciousness. It's like learning all these things. Send the signal to your brain to show it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you understand it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, in the realm of the mind, meaning experiences, in the realm of experiences, whether we're talking about waking state experiences or dream state experiences, there are so many dynamics. It's all interconnected in some way or the other. Like, for example, if you look at the planet Earth, there are things that happen in the North Pole are affecting things that are happening in Australia, things that are happening in Africa. It's interconnected. Is there things that are happening in the core of the Earth are connected to things that are happening in the galaxy.
It's reflecting.
Yes.
It's showing.
Yes.
In this place.
It's all interconnected. Right. It's one dance. It's one hologram. But what matters in terms of happiness, peace and happiness, is to not so much to comprehend the interrelationships of the dynamics, which of course are fascinating, and goodness, I mean, you could spend the next 50 million years studying the dynamics of the dream, the waking dream and the night dream, the phenomenal realm, which is what science, in a way, loves to do. But in terms of happiness, what matters is not so much the comprehension of the mind and its dynamics, but I could say the comprehension of consciousness, or awakening to consciousness, awakening from the realm of thoughts and sensations to the reality of consciousness. It's helpful to a certain extent to understand some of your patterns, because there are a lot of mind patterns we all have. They vary from person to person, and they vary within our life from time to time, from situation to situation. But after a while, you realize that they're redundant. It's always about me, poor me, he's bad, she's bad, why did this happen to me? When will I be happy? When will fortune come to me? When will I win the lottery? When will my neighbor's dog die because he barks so much? After a while, you realize it's redundant. It's like the same old broken record. It goes on in your waking state, it goes on in your dream state. And at some point, you ask yourself, wait a minute, is this all there is?
Yeah, exactly.
Is this all there is? What about peace and happiness? We all know happiness. We know it. We don't need mama to teach us about happiness. We know about happiness. Actually, when we go to ask our mother about happiness, we realize that she's unhappy. Well, I'm speaking generically. I'm not speaking about anybody in particular. But we know happiness. We know it within ourselves. We know freedom. We know joy. We know peace. And we know that we cannot have happiness at the expense of somebody else. That we know. But we do it anyways. We do it because we are stupid. I'm sorry to say. We try to have happiness at the expense of somebody else. We try to have wealth more than somebody else. We try to have it better than the others. We have jealousies. We have angers. We have vengeance. Oh, but we know that this is a miserable way. We just keep doing it. So at some point, say, on behalf of whom are we engaging in this schizophrenic, in this crazy, mad? On behalf of whom? On behalf of me, because I'm going to be happy if I fight my whole life. No, you're not going to be happy because you're fighting your whole life. Because you're fighting now, that means you're unhappy now. There is no tomorrow, is now. If there is something to be done, do it now. What is it that needs to be done right now?
Could you synthesize all of this? And could you say that with the direct experience of consciousness, or the sense of being, or even in happiness, a state beyond the mind, that is a state beyond the mind, and the rest is mind?
Yes, except I would not say it's a state. I would say that because states refer to causality and temporal. They have. So I would not say it's a state. It is beyond the mind, meaning the mind is an appearance. It appears to you as thoughts and sensations. No need to be philosophical about it. We all know mind right now. There is this perception. It's a mind perception, right? But what perceives is not in the perception. The table is in the perception. The bottle of water is in the perception. Wally's beautiful hat is in the perception. But what perceives is not in the perception, right? What perceives is not in the perception. The perception is arising in that which perceives. So the perception is arising in that. Yes?
It's complicated. That makes me think now. It makes my mind.
And the perception that is arising in that is not separate from that which perceives it. Where is the perception arising? Where is it arising? It's arising within I, to I, as I. Yes? If it's too complicated for you, you can drop it. You don't need. You can drop it. You don't need it. If you don't need it, let it go. That's fine. You can let it go.
All I know is that when I am in that state of
Awareness.
okay,
There is no I in the state of awareness.
When there is awareness
Of.
just awareness
Yes.
itself. Awareness being aware of itself. If you want to say awareness, there is no mind. There's no mind in that.
But you see,
state.
you are saying
you
you are.
have to use words.
Yeah, but. Okay, let's say yes to that.
I just want to, it's got so complicated. It's just like, I mean, it's actually simple when you have that direct experience of consciousness. And,
You see,
and then
there is nobody who is
Yes.
having an experience of consciousness.
because I am always consciousness, I'm aware of the lingo that I am. If you
Mhm.
ask me what I am, I
Yes.
say I am consciousness itself.
Yes,
But there are so many times I'm way out of feel that I'm way out. I'm in
Right.
the phenomenal world, I act in the phenomenal way, and so on. And
Right.
yet there is an inner core within, I think, everybody that says that I'm beyond that.
yes,
I am just that.
yes.
So, but that being in that state also requires, like you walk in the forest, it requires quiet times. I can't have an agenda, for example. When I wake up and have an agenda in the morning, I am
Yes.
completely out of it.
Right.
So if you simplify what we have said in these moments that we all have had, then that is a state. You say state, you don't
That's
want the word
okay.
state, but
It's okay.
it's beyond the mind. The mind, the thoughts are streaming upon you, and then that's when it feels okay. That's when I feel, yeah, I am that consciousness itself. That's
That works.
I'm trying to put it together. I'm not the only
Right.
one. Everybody
I just want to see if there are any. Yes, Habibti.
Just a time searching.
Yes, the retreat.
Yeah,
Okay.
60.
Okay. Just wanted to see if there are any questions of anybody online. Okay. So is it that time? Wonderful. Very lovely to be with you all. Okay. Okay. Jill, Cozier, Gabby, Mariana, Zoe. Very lovely to be with you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay, Zoe. See you. Yeah, right. Next week we are meeting on Saturday. Yeah.